Ever feel like you just kind of wing it when you're making decisions? Or maybe you're like stuck in overthinking mode?
Oh, yeah. I know that feeling.
Well, get ready because we're about to unlock the secrets of how you make decisions.
That's right. We're going deep on decision-making styles.
We're going to look at how each of us approaches choices and why that matters so much, especially when it comes to leadership.
You know what's really interesting about all this?
Yeah.
We often just make decisions on autopilot.
Yeah, totally.
We're not even really aware of what's driving our choices.
It's true.
But once you understand these patterns, you can seriously level up your leadership.
Oh, for sure.
Not just for yourself, for your whole team.
Okay, so less autopilot, more awareness. Got it.
Exactly.
So for this deep dive, we're looking at an article by Kerry and Cassidy.
She's great.
She's a women's executive coach and leadership development consultant.
Mm-hmm.
And the way she breaks down these styles, it's pretty mind-blowing.
And she makes a really interesting point. It's not just about knowing your own style.
Right.
It's about being able to recognize the styles of everyone around you.
Yeah. Your team, your boss, even your clients.
Exactly. Imagine being able to anticipate how someone might react to a proposal or even a challenge. That's a game changer.
100%. All right, I'm hooked. Let's get into these different styles.
Okay, so Cassidy outlines 4 main decision-making styles: analytical, directive, conceptual, and behavioral.
Each with their own strengths, and I'm guessing a few weaknesses too.
Of course.
Yeah.
And each style is really effective in different situations.
Makes sense.
So first up, the analytical style. These
Yes.
are the folks who are super meticulous and really love their data.
Like data-driven to the core?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Angela Ahrendts, she's a great example, the former CEO of Burberry.
Oh, yeah. I know her.
So when she took on the challenge of revitalizing the brand, she didn't just jump on trends or anything like that. She really dove deep into the data.
Smart.
She was analyzing like every aspect of the business.
So if you're an analytical leader, you probably live for spreadsheets, reports, anything that gives you hard evidence before you make a move.
Exactly. And that's a huge strength when you're trying to minimize risk or you need to present really well-researched strategies.
Makes total sense.
Think about pitching a budget to stakeholders.
Okay.
That includes anyone impacted by the decision, like your team, your clients, your upper management.
Right.
An analytical leader would come armed with charts, graphs, the whole 9 yards.
They'd be so prepared.
Totally. They build confidence with every data point.
That sounds incredibly convincing. But I'm thinking there are times when this love of data could actually be a problem, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
What if you need to make a super quick decision?
That's the potential downfall of the analytical style.
Uh-huh.
It's called analysis paralysis.
Makes sense.
They can get so caught up in gathering all this information that they might miss opportunities or struggle when things change really quickly.
So it's about finding that balance between data and being decisive.
Exactly.
Which leads us perfectly to our next style, directive.
Now, these are the folks who see a problem and bam, decision made.
I'm picturing someone like Elon Musk.
Oh, perfect example. He's known for making these bold moves.
Sometimes it seems like on a whim even.
Right, and that's the thing about directive leaders. They are decisive, action-oriented.
They get things done.
Think back to when Tesla was dealing with those production delays on the Model 3.
Oh yeah, that was rough.
Musk took action fast. He was even sleeping on the factory floor just to get everything back on track.
Wow.
It's that kind of bold leadership that can be so inspiring.
Especially in a crisis.
Absolutely. When you're in a crisis, you don't always have time to overthink it.
You just need someone to step up and take charge.
Exactly. But of course, it's all about balance, right?
Always.
Because this style can also lead to some problems.
Like what?
It's that risk of becoming too autocratic.
Not taking others' opinions into account.
That's it. Directive leaders, if they're not careful, they can come across as impatient or even dictatorial.
So finding that sweet spot between confidence and collaboration is key.
Totally key.
All right, so we've got the data-driven analyticals and our action-oriented directives. What's next?
Okay, now we move into the big picture thinkers, the visionaries, the conceptual leaders.
Nice. Ooh, I like this all.
These are the people who can see possibilities where everyone else just sees obstacles.
Okay, give me an example.
Oprah Winfrey, perfect example.
Yes.
With her incredible media empire and her focus on empowering others.
She's definitely a visionary.
For sure.
So let's say your task is to boost team collaboration.
Okay.
A conceptual leader might come up with like a completely unique mentorship program or something.
Yes. They'd align those individual goals with the company's vision.
It's that creativity and that innovation that fuels their leadership.
Right. They're the ones who inspire their teams to reach for something really extraordinary.
But, and I think I know what you're going to say here,
Oh, yeah.
every strength has its flip side.
You got it.
So, what could trip up a conceptual leader?
It's that jump from vision to reality.
The execution.
Exactly. Sometimes they might struggle with the nitty-gritty details.
Or they're not super patient with step-by-step processes.
That's right. They need something to ground those big ideas.
Totally makes sense. Okay, so we've got 3 down, 1 to go. And finally, we have the behavioral style.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling these are the folks who are all about harmony and collaboration.
You read my mind. They really value relationships and want to make sure everyone feels heard and valued.
So give me like a prime example of a behavioral leader.
Jacinda Ardern.
Oh, yeah, good one.
She's known for her empathetic and collaborative leadership style.
I can definitely see how that would be so valuable, like if you're implementing a big policy change that affects a lot of people.
Absolutely. A behavioral leader would make sure to get input from everyone.
All the stakeholders.
Right. They'd try to smooth over any conflicts and create a sense of unity.
Like they're the glue that holds the team together.
Exactly.
But I'm wondering, is there ever a time when striving for consensus could actually hold you back?
Oh, there definitely can be.
Like what?
Sometimes a leader just needs to make a tough call.
Even if it makes some people unhappy.
Exactly. And for behavioral leaders, that can be a struggle.
Because they don't want to disrupt the harmony.
Right. So that's it. Our 4 distinct styles.
Each with their own superpowers and
The kryptonite.
Exactly.
So true.
Now, I'm curious, for you listening, which one of these styles resonates most with you?
Yeah.
And how do you think having a mix of these approaches benefits your team?
Good question.
Lots to think about.
Yeah. So before we took a little break, we were talking about those 4 main decision-making styles. Analytical, directive, conceptual, and behavioral.
And how each one kind of comes with its own strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly. They each have their own time to shine.
But we only talked about the broad strokes, like the big picture.
Right.
So how do we actually put these styles into practice? How do we make decisions when we're in those different situations?
That's a great question. So Cassidy goes on to outline 4 decision-making methods. Think of these as like tools in your leadership toolbox.
Oh, I like that. Ooh.
We've got rational, intuitive, collaborative, and reflective.
Got it.
And just like you wouldn't use a hammer to screw in a light bulb.
Right. That would be a mess.
You want to choose the right decision-making method for the job.
Okay, I'm with you so far. So what kind of job calls for the rational method?
Let's say you're putting together a budget proposal.
Budget time.
That's when the rational method really shines.
Okay.
It's all about being data-driven.
Data-driven.
You gather all the information you need before making your decision.
You don't want to just base your budget on like a gut feeling.
Exactly. You need some hard numbers to back it up.
Sure.
So you'd look at those financial reports and analyze trends.
Got it.
You're basically building a rock-solid case for your proposal.
But what about when you don't have time for all that research? Like what if there's some kind of client emergency?
Oh yeah, that happens all the time.
You can't exactly spend hours looking over spreadsheets when you're in a crisis.
You need to act fast. And that's when the intuitive method comes in.
Intuition, my gut feeling.
Exactly. It's trusting your instincts.
Okay.
You're using your experience to make a quick decision.
But how do you know when to trust your gut?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Sometimes my gut feeling is like totally wrong.
It's true. Intuition isn't perfect.
Yeah.
I remember one time early in my career, I had this gut feeling about an investment opportunity.
Okay.
It just felt right. It aligned with my instincts.
Uh-oh.
But I didn't do my due diligence. I didn't gather enough information.
So what happened?
It was a very costly lesson, let's just say that.
So intuition is powerful, but you need to be smart about it.
Exactly. You need to balance it with good old-fashioned information gathering.
Like back up your gut with some facts.
Right. Think about it like a firefighter who can sense which way a fire is going to spread.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
They've built that intuition over years of experience, but they still rely on all their training and knowledge.
So they're not just like running into a burning building. Okay, so it's not about blindly following your gut.
No.
It's about using your experience to make those smart decisions.
Exactly. Okay, now let's imagine a different scenario.
Okay.
You're rolling out this new workflow system.
All right.
It affects all your departments.
Big change.
Huge. This isn't the time for a quick decision.
Right.
You need to bring in the collaborative method.
Okay, so this is where you get the whole team involved.
Exactly. Everyone shares their perspective before anything's decided.
So you avoid those nobody asked me moments.
Precisely. The collaborative method is all about getting everyone's input.
Okay.
You make sure everyone feels heard and valued.
It takes more time. but it seems like worth it in the end.
Yeah, it can lead to much better outcomes.
You know, this makes me think about when our team implemented that new project management software.
Oh, yeah. What happened?
Well, we didn't really consult anyone, we just picked what we thought was best.
Uh-oh.
And it was a total disaster. People hated the new system.
Oh, no.
They said it was clunky and didn't work for them.
That's tough.
If we had just been more collaborative,
Yeah.
it would have saved everyone a lot of headaches.
It's a classic example of how the wrong decision-making method can really backfire.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, so rational, intuitive, collaborative. What's the last one?
The reflective method.
Reflective.
This one's all about looking back at past decisions.
Like learn from our mistakes.
Exactly. Especially the ones that didn't quite go as planned.
It's like that saying, experience is the best teacher.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You ask yourself the tough questions. What went wrong? What could I have done differently?
That's tough but important.
It is. By analyzing our past decisions, we can get better at making future ones.
You know, this reminds me of that project I was telling you about.
Oh, yeah, the one that flopped.
That's the one. If I had just taken the time to reflect on past projects, I might have seen the warning signs.
And maybe you've been able to adjust course.
Exactly.
It's never too late to start using that reflective method, though.
True.
Even good decisions can teach us valuable lessons.
Right, like what went well.
Exactly. And just like with the styles, you don't have to pick one method and stick to it forever.
Rinse and match.
Yeah. The key is to choose the one that best fits the situation, Like picking the right tool from your toolbox.
I love that analogy. So much wisdom in that toolbox metaphor.
Uh-huh. Right.
But here's the thing. What good is a great decision if you can't communicate it effectively?
Oh, that's such a good point.
Like, that's where things can really fall apart, right?
Yeah. A decision poorly communicated, it's like a tree falling in the forest. Did it really happen?
Exactly.
If no one heard it or understood what it meant, was it really a decision?
So how do we bridge that gap?
Yeah.
How do we go from making a decision to making sure it actually lands with people?
Cassidy talks about the importance of tailoring your communication.
Okay, tailoring.
It's about knowing your audience,
Like you wouldn't read a bedtime story the same way you'd give a presentation to the board of directors.
Exactly. You'd put them right to sleep.
So when you're communicating a decision, you really have to think about who you're talking to.
Yeah. What do they care about? What kind of language makes sense to them?
So it's like telling a story that really connects with your audience.
Yeah.
But how do you actually do that?
Well, let's say you're an analytical leader and you need to present to a team of big picture conceptual thinkers.
Oh, okay.
You're not going to win them over with a bunch of spreadsheets.
Yeah, their eyes would glaze over.
Exactly. You got to focus on the big picture stuff, the why behind the data.
Oh.
Make it engaging, like tell a story with the numbers.
Like a data detective novel.
Yes. The case of the missing profits.
Haha. I love that. Okay, but what about those more intuitive decisions? The ones that are based on gut feeling? How do you communicate something that's not based on cold, hard facts?
You have to be really transparent.
Okay, transparency.
You could say something like, based on my experience, this is the best way to go, and here's why I think so.
So you're acknowledging that it's your gut feeling, but you're also backing it up with logic?
Exactly. It's like saying, trust me, I've been here before.
Got it.
And remember, communicating effectively, it's not just a one-time thing.
Right. It's a process.
You have to check in with people, answer their questions, and make sure everyone's on board.
So it's about bringing people along on the journey.
Exactly. And one powerful way to do that is through what Cassidy calls style switching.
Style switching. What's that?
Think of it like a chameleon blending in.
Oh, okay.
You're still you, but you're flexing different parts of your decision-making personality.
So if you're naturally a directive leader, you might need to bring out your collaborative side when you're working with a team that likes to make decisions together.
Exactly.
So it's not about being fake, it's about adapting.
Yeah, you meet people where they are.
Okay, that makes sense. This whole conversation has been so eye-opening.
I'm glad.
I'm really starting to see how understanding these styles and methods can make me a better leader.
Me too.
Okay, so we've talked about the 4 decision-making styles.
Analytical, directive, conceptual, and behavioral.
And we explored those 4 decision-making methods.
Right. Rational, intuitive, collaborative, and reflective.
But how do we actually use all this? Like in real life?
It all comes down to knowing yourself.
Self-awareness.
Exactly. You got to think about your own tendencies.
Like, what do I usually do when I'm making a decision?
Yeah. Which style feels the most natural for you? Do you love data and analysis, or are you more of a gut feeling person?
And am I using the right method?
That's the key. Are you using the right tool for the job?
You know, I think I tend to stick with what's comfortable.
Oh, yeah. What's your go-to?
I'm definitely an analytical person.
Makes sense.
I like to have all the information before I make a move.
But as we've been talking about, that can lead to analysis paralysis.
It's true. So how do I break out of that?
Well, you don't have to completely change who you are.
Okay.
It's about having more options.
Expanding the toolbox.
Exactly. So let's say you need to make a quick decision.
Okay.
Instead of getting stuck in research mode, maybe try trusting your intuition a bit more.
Tap into that gut feeling.
Right. Or if you're working with a team that's all about collaboration, you can try incorporating some of those collaborative methods.
Even if it feels a little weird at first.
It might, but it can make a big difference.
So it's like I'm exercising those decision-making muscles.
Exactly. You try different things to see what works best.
And we can't forget about communication.
Oh, absolutely.
How you explain your decisions, it's just as important as the decisions themselves.
So true.
So if you're a super directive leader, but you're talking to a team of analytical folks,
Yeah.
you're going to need to give them the data.
They're going to want to see the evidence.
You got to speak their language.
Exactly. Understand their needs.
And that's where style switching comes in.
Oh, yeah. That's a game changer.
So it's like having all these different decision-making tools.
Like a Swiss Army knife?
You can adapt depending on the situation.
Exactly. If you're working with a team that loves consensus, you can bring out those collaborative skills.
And if it's a crisis situation,
you can tap into that directive side and take charge.
I love that analogy. Flexibility is so important in leadership.
It really is. And remember, style switching, it's not about being fake.
Right. It's about being authentic.
You're still you. You're just using your strengths in different ways.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Oh.
So to wrap things up, I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Oh, but fire away.
Think about a decision you're facing right now. It could be anything, work, personal life, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now ask yourself, which decision-making style and method would work best in this situation? How can you play to your strengths while also thinking about the other people involved?
Good questions.
And how can you communicate your decision so that it's clear, it makes sense, and it gets people excited to take action?
Love it.
This has been such a great deep dive.
Me too.
I feel like I have a whole new way of looking at how I make decisions.
That's the goal.
It's not just about making the right choice. It's about the whole process.
Absolutely. From gathering information to communicating your decision.
Oh, and being aware of all of that, that's what makes you a strong leader.
It is. It's about constantly learning and getting better and better at making decisions.
Because things are always changing.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
And the best leaders are the ones who can adapt and make choices that inspire people and lead to success.
So well said. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of decision making.
It was my pleasure.
We hope you learned something new and that you feel more confident about making those tough choices.
I hope so too.
Remember, leadership starts with understanding how you make decisions, and now you've got the tools to do just that.
That's right.
Until next time, keep those decisions sharp and your communication clear.